Okay. So more of an agnostic. Are you saying that there might be, but you're not convinced of that, or are you saying that no, there couldn't be?
I'm definitely not saying there couldn't
Okay.
be. I'm saying there could be, but I just have no idea.
Okay, so now from atheism, we've already got you to being an agnostic.
Oh, I don't know. I think because, I mean, I think there seems to be two strands of atheism. One is
A hard atheism. Yeah.
I wouldn't say I'm a hard
Okay.
atheist.
You're a soft atheist.
Is that yeah, soft atheist or weak atheist, whatever it is.
Okay.
Yeah, so I would just say, I'd still say I'm an atheist.
Okay.
On that front, but I think,
Yeah, cappuccino would be nice. Would you like something?
oh,
Cappuccino, flat white, or anything? Please.
No, I'm honestly.
You sure?
I'm good. I got my water.
He's okay. So, if you don't mind me asking, what's your sort of background in terms of like study or career? What's it interests you?
I work in IT.
Okay.
But I'm also a musician.
Okay.
So I'd say I'm better as a musician
Okay.
than IT. Yeah.
What, are you programming or?
No, just IT support.
IT support. Okay. Okay, that's good. Look, the thing is, do you accept that the universe exists?
Yeah.
And we exist, and we're talking to now, right? Okay. If the universe exists, and it's assembled in a particular way, it needs hydrogen, helium, whatever it needs in order to be the universe, basically.
Yeah.
It requires an explanation because it's contingent, it's reliant on something. Now, it could be reliant on something else that's material, but if it is material, then that thing must be contingent as well because it's assembled in a particular way, and it requires particular things in order for it to exist. So it's also contingent, and it requires an explanation. You can't have an infinite series of material explanations because you can never traverse an infinite series of events to reach this event where we are talking today. Because if we had to traverse an infinite number of steps to get to this step, we'd never get to this step. Because by definition, an infinite is something that you can never count to.
Yeah.
So however many years, millennia, whatever, there's more millennia that came before it. And when you get to that point, there's more that came before it. It's never ending.
But isn't that going the wrong way? Isn't that, like, if you look back to infinity, or whatever,
Right.
You've got all these situations that happen.
Right.
And you can say, you know, we can't go back into infinity.
Right.
But right now, actually, I mean, I don't know. I'm not arguing for infinity.
No,
anyway.
I'm just saying to you, it's a reasonable concept to accept that an infinite series of events can never be traversed. So this particular step necessitates that there has to be some beginning for this dimension, this universe or whatever it is. And of course we know that the universe did begin to exist, right? And our time, as we conceptually understand it, realize it, appreciate it, is when that Big Bang took place, t equals 0, you know, instantly time began basically at that point, right? My point to you now is that that step of the Big Bang, if it did happen, and I think most people agree that it did, it requires an explanation, but you can't have an infinite series of explanations. So by necessity now, you need something that has to have always existed. In other words, you can't have a situation.
Why can't? So, I guess you're going to say that should be.
No,
God.
I'm not getting to God yet. I'm saying that you can never have a situation where there was an absolute nothing from which something came. Because nothing plus nothing is always nothing, right? 0 plus 0 plus 0, doesn't matter how many zeros you have, it's still going to be a 0, right?
Okay.
So nothing, you can't have something coming from nothing, so therefore there always has to be something. And that something can't be contingent or reliant on something else because you fall back into infinite regress. So by necessity, there needs to be something that has always existed, and the universe began at a particular point in time, in history, so it had to decide when to bring it into existence.
Why does it need to be like a decision?
Because if that something has always existed, and it had the properties necessary to bring this universe into existence, then it had an eternity to have brought the universe into existence. But the universe is only 14.8 billion years or 16.8 billion years old or whatever, right?
Yeah.
You understand my point? So if it didn't guide a process to bring this universe into existence and simply had the inherent quality to just bring it in without any consciousness, without any decision, then it had an infinite past history to have brought this universe into existence. But it came in at a specific point in time. So it shows direction, it shows the ability to choose when to bring something into existence.
So I'm not understanding why it's got to be a decision.
Okay,
That's what I'm
because if it's not a decision and it simply possesses the qualities necessary to bring this universe into existence, then it had an eternity. It had an eternal history, eternal past, where every potential that could have come out from this necessary existence would have already come into existence. Because it had an eternity to do that. But it only happened 14.8 or 13.8 billion years ago. So it must have decided when to bring it into existence. And it has to be incredibly powerful, whatever this thing is. Whatever this thing is, has to be more powerful than the universe.
Why is that?
Well, how can something of lesser power bring something into existence that has greater power than itself? If I have...
Could you not have like something like... Could you not say something like dynamite?
Yeah, but dynamite inherently has that energy trapped within it. You're only releasing it by lighting the fuse.
Or like a human... like any thing in existence that a human has created.
Yeah.
Would you not describe anything as more powerful than a human?
But the human is creating from things that already exist. So when he designs a rocket, so when he designs a rocket, he needs the rocket fuel, right? He doesn't bring the rocket fuel into existence out of nothing. It's already there. Now God, if God exists, we believe brings things into existence without the need of anything. He simply wills it into existence and it comes into existence.
Okay.
So even a nuclear bomb, an atom bomb, you might think, well, it's only 12 kilograms of uranium or plutonium or whatever it is. By the way, just for the cameras, I don't know how to make these things, yeah? I'm just sort of saying it as a figure of speech, yeah? Because no, but a Muslim saying this can sometimes get him into trouble, you know? But let's just say there's this uranium or plutonium. Let's pretend I don't know how many kilograms it is, but there's a certain number of kilograms. If you fire a trigger at high speed into that, and it reaches critical mass, you get this massive explosion, right? And you could argue, well, look, a human being has created something greater than himself, but he hasn't created it out of nothing. That's the point. God, we believe God creates out of nothing. He doesn't need something.
So why do you think then that you need to be more powerful than the thing?
Because if I'm creating something,
but
if I'm creating something out of my power, out of my majesty, my strength, my ability, my intelligence, okay, and I'm not using contingent things around me, in other words, objects around me to make that thing, then it's illogical to assume that that thing could make something greater than itself.
Would God take things from himself?
No, we don't believe that God does. Okay. We believe that God simply wills things into existence. It's not a part of God. His power is such that he simply brings things into existence. But my point to you actually fundamentally is the infinite regress is an illogical assumption to arrive at. A necessary existence is very logical to assume. The qualities of that necessary existence point to very powerful, incredibly powerful, incredibly intelligent, because we see in this universe physics, chemistry, biology, all right? We see, quantum physics and all of these things, right? Which the laws of those seem incredibly complex. The ability to fashion those laws or construct those laws, the mathematics, incredibly intelligent. And it seems to have brought this universe into existence at a certain point in time. And to me, that sounds a lot like, you could argue, if you don't want to use the word God, you could say the creator, you could say the necessary existence. You could say the thing that brought everything into existence. You don't have to necessarily conceptualize this, because God sometimes is a difficult concept for people to accept, because they see some old man with a big beard with white hair sitting on a stool. That's not our concept of God, by the way. In Islam, when we say Allahu Akbar, God is greater. God is greater than anything that you can physically or mentally, conceptually arrive at or think about. He's outside of your capacity of understanding.
Well, I've heard someone say that before. That's a difficult one for me to get my head around.